I'm 84 years old, and I want to tell you something that I've never actually said out loud to anyone. Not because it's a secret exactly, but because I'm not sure anyone would have understood it while I was living it. And now the people who might have understood it, they're mostly gone. I have not had a truly honest conversation in over a decade, maybe longer if I'm being careful with myself. I don't mean I've been lying, I mean something quieter than that, something harder to explain. I mean that somewhere in my 70s, I stopped saying what I actually thought, stopped admitting what I actually felt, and the strange part is nobody noticed. That's the part that still sits with me. Let me go back a little. I was a practical man. That's how I understood myself for most of my life. I had a job that I was good at. I worked in insurance of all things, and I had a family, and I had a house that needed things done to it constantly. That was life. You got up, you handled what needed handling, and you went to bed. My wife used to say I was like a man in a hurry to get to a destination he'd never actually chosen. I laughed when she said it. I didn't really hear it. We weren't unhappy. I want to be clear about that. We had good years. We raised 2 kids who turned out fine. We took trips. We had dinners with friends on Friday nights sometimes. But looking back, I can see that there was a layer of conversation we never quite broke through. We talked about the kids, about money, about the news, about what needed fixing. We didn't often talk about what we were afraid of, what we wanted that we didn't have, what we wished had gone differently. I think I told myself that was just how adults lived, that the deep stuff was for when you had more time, when things settled down. Things never settled down. That's the part one didn't understand until it was too late. My wife got sick when she was 73. It moved quickly. Within 18 months she was gone. And I remember sitting next to her in those last weeks and wanting so badly to have one of those conversations we'd never had. Not about love, we knew we loved each other, but about the real things, what her life had meant to her, what she was afraid of, whether she had regrets, whether she was at peace. I couldn't do it. After 47 years, I didn't know how to start. I sat there and I held her hand and I talked about the grandchildren and the weather and whether the night nurse was kind, and I watched the chance close like a door I'd been standing next to my whole life without ever opening. After she died, I moved through the years quietly. My kids called on Sundays. My grandchildren visited sometimes. I had a neighbor, Frank, who I played chess with on Tuesday afternoons for a long time until his health made that impossible. People were kind to me, genuinely kind, but every conversation I had started to feel like I was wearing a costume, like there was a version of me that showed up polite, calm, easy to be around, and then there was whatever was happening underneath, which I never showed anyone. Not because I was protecting something, just because I didn't know how anymore, and because nobody asked, and because it seemed at my age a little late to start. My son came to visit last spring. He's 53 now, which still startles me. We sat on the back porch and he asked how I was doing, and I said, fine, keeping busy. And we talked about his job and his daughter's school and whether I needed anything repaired around the house. He's a good man. He meant well. I meant well. And neither of us said a single true thing the entire afternoon. I watched him pull out of the driveway and I thought, that's it. That's what I've been doing. That's what we've all been doing. We show up for each other and we cover the surface of things very carefully, and we call it being close. I don't say this to blame him or to blame anyone. I say it because I'm 84 and I don't have the energy for pretending anymore. And I'm not sure I have enough time left to matter much. But if I do, I'd like to use it differently. I don't know how to tell my son that I'm lonely, not in the way that needs fixing, not in the way that requires him to visit more or call more, but lonely in the way that comes from a lifetime of sitting just outside your own life, watching it through glass. I don't know how to tell my granddaughter, who is 20 and full of plans, that the plans are not the point, that the people standing next to you while you make the plans, those are the point. I didn't know that when I was 20. I'm not sure she'd believe me now. If you're young and you're listening to an old man talk, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I don't think that's my place, but I'll tell you what I wish I had understood. The conversations you keep postponing are not going to get easier. The person you keep meaning to really talk to, that window is smaller than it looks, not because of death necessarily, although that too, but because people change, you change, and one day you realize you've been performing a version of yourself for so long that you've lost the thread back to whatever was underneath. I'm still here. I'm still trying to find that thread. I don't know what I'll do with it if I find it. I'm 84. I'm tired most days, but I think about it. I think about my wife's hand in mine. I think about all the things I almost said. If this found you at the right moment, I'm glad.